Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Estamos aquí, oye, que estamos aquí. Mírame, estamos aquí. Desde hace rato, cuando ustedes llegaron, ya estaban las huellas de nuestros zapatos. Se robaron hasta la comida de gato y todavía se están lamiendo el plato. Bien encabronados con estos ingratos. Hoy le doy duro a los tambores hasta que me acusen de maltrato. Si no entiendes el dato, pues te lo tiro en cumbia, bossa nova, tango o vallenato. A lo Calaboy y bambú, bien frontú, con sangre caliente como Timbuktu. Estamos dentro del menú. Tupac se llama Tupac por Tupac Amaru del Perú. América no es solo USA, papá. Esto es desde Tierra del Fuego hasta Canadá. Hay que ser bien bruto, bien hueco. Es como decir que África es solo Marruecos. Estos canallas se les olvidó que el calendario que usan se lo inventaron los mayas con la Valdivia precolombina. Desde hace tiempo, este continente camina, pero ni con toda la marina pueden sacar de la vitrina la peste campesina. Esto va para el capataz de la empresa. El machete no es solo para cortar caña, también es para cortar cabeza.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Los paramilitares, las guerrillas, los hijos del conflicto, las pandillas, las listas negras, los falsos positivos, los periodistas asesinados, los desaparecidos, los narcogobiernos, todos los que robaron, los que se manifiestan y los que se olvidaron, las persecuciones, los golpes de estado, el país en quiebra, los exiliados, el peso devaluado, el tráfico de droga, los carteles, las invasiones, los emigrantes sin papeles, 5 presidentes en 11 días, disparo a quemarropa por parte de la policía, más de 100 años de tortura, la nova trova cantando en plena dictadura. Somos la sangre que sopla la presión atmosférica. Gambino, mi hermano, esto sí es América.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde.
Doctor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo, el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
Get going. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Let's begin the session here. Let me get this ready, family. Thought it was ready already. Yeah. What up, brother? What up, Joe? That's right. BTC. Yeah, I didn't catch that on time. My bad. All right. So, look, this was I guess you could say a topic that I wasn't necessarily, like, it didn't catch my attention, for whatever reason, man. It's just the way the Most High works, right? And, like Seminole Indians, and I was just like, yo, we're the original people, right? That's all I really heard. So, I go and do my history, and then y'all know the channel. But this time I'm like, hold on a second. I have enough documentation on these people. I don't know why I don't just look into it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to debunk the nonsense, okay? I'm going to show you some material written even by themselves, all right? Even by them, understanding clearly that there was such a thing as a removal predominantly of a lot of people, natives, Seminole, so to speak, and then somehow, some way, as you can see, others transition into it. Look, how many times have you guys heard of so-called South Americans or Africanos, right? White folks. Other countries that obviously understand what that is, it's like, yo, you're not from there. And now they claim to be Africans, okay? And they get hatred for it. That's racist. Of course, you're stealing the fucking heritage of other people claiming to be that person now. How is that any different than the shit that we see right now? Seriously. It's no different. So here we're actually going to be tackling this topic here. What up, bro? You guys know how I do it, man. I don't go around doing AI shit. We don't do that. We actually look for source, more like primarily, if possible, Ivy League source, right? Things that you can find in one of these, top-notch schools that for whatever reason they want to keep them there, as you know what I mean by that, right? So I'm going to show you a couple books, but I want you guys to pay attention to this one. We're going to come back to it. It's called The History of Hernán de Soto and Florida. For some reason, we have people here that just, I don't know, they're engulfed with the 13 colony history. And they totally forget what was going on in Florida, Georgia, you know what I mean? All those states in the South. As if, like, I don't know, nobody was there. Nothing happened. Yo, like, for real? Nothing happened? No, we're going to look into it. And you're going to see the difference between Spaniards, Negroes, or Africans, and natives, not so-called pretendians, right? You know, the fake ones that love TikTok. No. The indigenous ones that are listening to this channel here. All right? Now, this is from 1512 to 1568. It talks about the actual, how they go from Cuba, Bahamas, Florida, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to start with page 87. Again, we're going to come back to this quickly because I want to show you the video. Hold on a second here real quick. Let's go to page. My bad. Whoa. Hey, calmado, güey. Page 87. Hold on a second. Let me just show you this real quick. Page 87. Oh, look, check this out. It also covers, right? And you guys know who this guy is, Narvaez. He was the piece of shit bastard that brought with him dogs to conquer, you know, like actual fucking dogs that would eat our people. And Africans helped him as well. These most, you know, whatever African type, North African, West African, you had dogs with you. And you were part of that shit. So I know you want to hide from that fact. And now you want to take the narrative that you're a native. But now you're not going to get away with that. Facts tell, stories sell. And history says otherwise. So here is also the expedition of Pánfilo de Narváez to Florida and the wandering of Álvaro Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. Now, this is an interesting thing because in this book also mentions El Esteban, you know, the I guess the Negro that was with them. Okay, check this out on page. Hold on, 87. All right, remember what dates we're looking at? 1512, 1568, right? Correct? Okay. Remember what the narrative is, fam. You know, remember what the narrative is. This is a hypothesis, and they're getting funded for it, right? These self-proclaimed Jews, Khazars, they got something to do with this. That's because they hate the shit out of you. I mean, who's passing these laws other than Stephen Miller? He's really the brains of your gente deportation. Like Netanyahu said to the Israelis when he came here in the 70s. He said to them, they asked him, hey, why do you hate Palestinians so much? He said, us, the Palestinians to us is what the Mexicans are to you. So don't let that pass you by, fam. You got more than one enemy. I'm telling you, you got several. Page 87 says, by imitating their signs, we inspired them in some measure with confidence so that they came near enough for us to toss them some little bells and glasses and many toys, which they took and looked at laughing, and then came on board without fear. Among them were two kings, more beautiful in form and stature than can possibly be described. Let's pause for a moment there. Do you really think if they seen people that looked like Africans here, would say, like, they wouldn't say that? They're familiar with what you guys look like. You see what I'm saying? Here we see of people that are like, whoa, y'all look slightly different. You know what I mean? Not light-skinned, like, no, like your phenotype is just different. Then it says, among them, beautiful form and stature can possibly describe. One was about 40 years old and the other 24. The oldest had a deer skin around his body, artificially wrought in Damascus figures. His head was without covering. His hair was tied back in various knots. Okay? Those are not. That's not dreadlocks. That's none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's straight hair, like goat's hair, like King David's hair, you know what I mean? And then, braided in knots. These are not what they used to call dookie braids or braids around his neck. He wore a large chain ornament with many stones of different colors. You hear this? Around his neck, he wore a large chain ornamented with many stones of different colors. Now, Joe, does that ring a bell? Guaracuya, does that ring a bell? I think it should ring a bell to y'all. The young man was similar in his general appearance. This is the finest looking tribe and the handsomest in their customs that we have found in our voyage. They exceed us in size, and they are of a very fair complexion. Let's repeat that again. They are of a very fair complexion here. Okay? Very fair. Some of them incline more to a white and others to a tawny color. Their faces are sharp, their hair is long and black. Upon the adorning of which they bestow great pains. Now, if you consider the ignorance or stupidity, whichever one it is, the moment you hear or read black, are you automatically going to assume an African American person or someone from, just basically that. So in this case, their hair is long and African American? Is that what you're saying? No, you see what I mean? Like, I gotta read shit in context, bro. And I'm making fun of it because you will, like, say honestly some shit like that. This is still you. It amazes me. Their eyes are black and sharp. Their expressions mild and pleasant, greatly resembling the antique. Their other parts of their body are in good proportion, and such belong as well-formed men. Their women are of some of the same form and beauty, very graceful and fine countenance, and pleasing appearance, and manners, and modesty. What are we doing here? Seriously? I mean, let's be frank here, fam. We got people here that look like people from Africa, claiming that they were here originally. Okay? This doesn't sound like somebody that has seen people like them, and then all of a sudden say that again. As if they you know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. Plus, going back up there, as white as them. This is why I said that they taught us some bullshit mestizo crap. Supposedly, we got light skin because we mixed with them. Fam, I'm telling you right now, the first conquistadors were dark-skinned people, whether they had the woolly hair or straight hair or curly hair. That is a combination of people, right? But the fact is that most of them were dark-skinned. So now, if they were dark-skinned, how the fuck could we get light skin? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that. And by the way, even other nations say how beautiful our women are. Elegant skin tone, hair. Come on, bro. Remember that video I showed you guys like about 2 weeks ago about our young sister, like tick-tack, some shit like that. And I mean, she was a beautiful young lady, bro. Ain't gonna lie. So let's go back here and explore this a little bit. Very fair complexion. Some of them inclining more to a white. Are we missing something here? Check this out. Watch this real quick. This is where you need to focus, family. Like right here, I should even just like drop the mic at this point. Like seriously, this is Hernan de Soto when he went with others conquistadors, traveling those lands, exploring those lands. This is what they encountered. What the fuck are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? You got to keep in mind too that other books, I think, what was it? I don't remember which one. I don't want to say the name because I don't remember, to be honest. But I've shared other books where it was talking about how, and it could have been, I don't want to say James the Deer, bro. But the other books express how, matter of fact, Samuel Morton in Crania Americana on, I think, page 67 or 69, he talks about that regarding debunking copper color, right? And he says, it doesn't match us because regardless of whether you're up north or down south. You could be light skinned, in the hottest area, or you could be dark skinned in the coldest area. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a variance of our skin tone, except the phenotype. It was always very consistent. You know what I'm saying? When you see raza, you basically see one. So now, if we see here, okay, so let's just read it again and we'll skip. This is the finest looking tribe and handsomeness in their customs that we have found in our voyage. They exceed in size and they are very fair complexion. Some of them incline more to a white and others to a tawny color. Their faces are sharp, their hair long, black upon adoring, which they bestow great pains. Their eyes are black and sharp, and expression and mild pleasant, greatly resembling the antique. That says here the women obviously well formed, how beautiful they are. Then it says their women are of the same form and beauty, very graceful, of the finest countenance and pleasing appearance. In manners and modesty. They wear no clothing except a deerskin ornament like those worn by them. Some wear very rich lynx skins upon their arms and various ornaments upon their heads, composed of braids of hair, which also hang down upon their breast on each side. This is women with long hair that goes down. You know what I mean? Others wear different ornaments, such as the women of Egypt and Syria use. Interesting. Now, what are you going to say? You see, it's saying it looks like them? No, come on, man. Now, why did I make this an effort? Because, dude, we're going to get deep into this, okay? Because, look, like I told you, family, I've been sharing this channel since, here, I'm going to do it this way. I don't know if they're going to try to say some shit. Since 2022, all right? I've been expressing this, long time coming, and it's in your face now. There's no excuse. There's no denying it. Pay attention to what she says right here, okay?
African American. We are not African American, and I.
My bad. Hold on, let me go back. I'm gonna speed it up. Oh no, that's good. All right, check this out. I'm gonna pause it rather quickly because I want you to pay attention to what she says.
This is a call to action to all be one ethnic Black Americans. We are no longer accepting the name.
You see that? Listen to this again.
Call to action to all be one ethnic Black Americans.
Now, I don't know if she says all be one or R be one. No, I don't really understand what that means, to be quite frank with you. But I want you to pay attention because I said that this was going to occur. Let's go.
We are no longer accepting the name African American. We are not African American, and I don't know what Jesse Jackson was thinking back then because we've never really liked the term anyway. What we need to do is, on a nationwide level, we need to petition the courts, petition the census, submit what we need to do legally to the government to change our name. We no longer want to be called African American. Cross out African American wherever you can on a form and rewrite either ethnic Black American, ADOS, foundational, whatever you choose, Indigenous, Sulan.
Basically, write off the history of other people. That's called racism. Black, simple, full stop. Full stop. That's fucking racism right there. Yeah. I think that's what it is, right? The DNA RB1. Now, why am I bringing that up? Here's why. Because I'm part of this, group. To be honest, I don't really remember how I signed up with them. And every now and then they'll send articles, theses, theses that people have written, right? Now, this particular person, I can't remember his name, to be honest, man. Fuck, I should have gotten this information. He put out a book. It's like he's heavyset, bald, older dude, right, with a white beard. Claims to be native, African American, obviously. And he says he calls them BNAs, all right, Black Native Americans. Now, this individual, right, remember, they're not going with the E1B shit no more. Or, I don't know. I saw this angle coming too, and I shared it on another class, I think 6-7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, could have been. I never came back to it because, you know what I mean? It's just funny to me because just do the DNA and then maybe you can see. So he says that the Yamasee, which we're going to read about too, as well as Cherokee, right? All of these people, what? Muskegee Confederacy. Like, okay, let me go back a little bit. Look what he says. It says a good example of the enslavement and forced removal of so-called Black Native Indians, Black Native Americans, is the case of the Yamasee. The Yamasee was a tribe of Black Native Americans who originally lived in Florida, which is total bullshit because, again, we're going to read Hernando de Soto. We're going to read Africans in Africa. What is it called? Black Society in Spanish Florida. And it clearly shows what the fuck occurred. But again, you know, you go with a narrative, and these are people that supposedly got a fucking like they have a degree, bro, like a degree, and they're making this shit up. And southern Georgia migrated north into South Carolina by the Spanish in 16th century. The Yamasee were part of the Muskegon Confederacy. This was a confederacy of Mongoloid. This is where they talk about you. This is where they say you. You see, Mongoloid. I'm gonna show you a video also where a brother sent it to me, and I guess it was it's like short 8 minutes with Marvelous and some other dudes. One specifically claiming to be a native, and he called him a Mongoloid. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so yeah. So follow me here. You know what I mean? Because I go thorough with this shit, and you know anybody's welcome to try to debunk my shit. And as you can see, fam, they ain't saying nothing to me because they don't got facts. And I don't have like feelings over this. If this is not our people, if you guys were originally here, dude, I'll bring it out, bro. I got no fear for it. What the fuck? If I'm not, I'm not. It doesn't make me any better or worse. What I give a fuck about is lies or facts need to be corrected or at least consistently repeated. So check this out. All right. So then he goes up and says of Mongoloid and Black Native Americans. All right. So now he's saying that that's why supposedly you that are supposedly Seminole Indians and you look like me, you're a Mongoloid. You're not a Negro. You know what I'm saying? Then it says the whites began to steal the Yamasee lands. By 1715, the Yamasee, leading a confederation of tribes, attacked the whites to drive them off their lands. The Cherokee, who were part of the Muskegon Confederation, broke away and formed an alliance with the British in 1718 and helped defeat the Yamasee. Yada, yada, yada. So he's going on this narrative, and I believe that's what she means. It's because of this fucking bullshit. The frequency of the H-1B subclades in North America. So it basically, he's emphasizing that a lot of natives, right? Because that's what he's using, native, because they don't do the DNA. He just knows that predominantly, right? Hold on a second, my bad. That predominantly, from what he's found, oh, come on, bro. From what he's found, lots of natives carry this subclads, which is a branch, not a branch. As a matter of fact, the Q branch, the Q is a branch of R1B or R1A, all right? So you have to remember that. The Q came after the R1B, fam. If you look at, I mean, I'm not a science of this shit, but I mean, I look at what it is, and you can see where the R1B migrated from. And it says that, you know, predominantly that's what the excuse is for them now. Now they're R1Bs. That's why they want to be Chickasaw. Now, yeah, I know that I've showed my actual DNA, and it's exactly that right there. And it talks about our migration. And that's why I laugh at it. I didn't make it a big point until I heard her say this. So now listen to this.
Do not accept this name anymore. It is time for us to reclaim our identity and call ourselves what we feel comfortable with, so other people cannot come and tether themselves to our struggle, our fight, and our advancement that our ancestors died and struggled for. This is not working for us anymore. So what we need to do again is, whenever you can, cross out on a paper. If you can write in ethnic Black American. If you want to do something else, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with.
Let's talk about it, shall we? My name is Brother Legend, and I'm here to raise your consciousness. In all my years in the Black community, I have never been to a cookout where somebody was making a teepee in a campfire. And yet, for some reason, in the past 4 years, I have seen more and more Black people in America say that they are Native, Indigenous, or Aboriginal to America. And they use two justifications for this. One is that Black people were here before Columbus, which really makes no sense to me because even when they get their DNA results back, it'll say you have a little bit of Native American in them, but I have not seen one person black as me or blacker show their DNA results, and it says that they are 100% Native American. I mean, the whole reason you're saying you're not African is because you're saying that you didn't come here through the transatlantic slave trade. So then why do you have African DNA? The second thing that doesn't make sense to me that I hear
is an excellent point. Hold on a second. How is it that you are not from over there, but yet you have that predominantly, and you look like them? You get what I'm saying? Now, some people may say, "Oh, you know, you guys are at the gatekeepers," just like you try to do with rap, I guess. I don't know. And now you don't want. No, I'm not saying that. Like, I have no problem. Let's say if this brother was native, like, let's say if he was native, like, right, bloodline native, his father married into, you know, the other nations, and he looks like that, and I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good. But see, we understand that originally we did not look like this. That's why you have Muscogee Indians in Mexico, which I'm going to show. And guess what? They don't ever claim or ever said or ever have ever ran their mouths and saying, oh, we were here originally. They know exactly where they come from. African blood. And we have no problem with them. They speak Spanish like we do. Like, come on, man. But hey, you know what? I guess this is the narrative. And then here's the conclusion of the problem. All this is causing your children to really be fucked up in the head. Y'all are really destroying your children. You're not telling them nothing but fucking lies. Because when we go to the actual history, it's en contraire, mon frère. I mean, we're talking about, you know, travels of people coming here, you know, like in the times of Narvaez in 1527. He didn't come alone. But matter of fact, look, let me show you. Watch this real quick. You can see that there's a distinction here between Negro or Negroes and Indians. For example, watch this real quick. It's going to pull it up. I think it should. All right. Hold on. Come on, bro. Why are you doing that to me now? Here you see 120. On this expedition, it actually mentions that dude. Expedition of Pampilo de Narvaez to Florida. It says, and this for some reason it's in Spanish. No, it's not. Okay. Dorantes and Castillo also returned to Spain. The Negro Estevano, which is, what's the guy? This guy. Esteban was a black conquistador, right? Remained in Mexico and served as a guide for Francisco Marco de Niza in his expeditions to Cibola, where Estevano, on an account of some improprieties, was killed by the Indians because he was effing around with women. And our brothers killed his ass. So again, it says the Negro, which is from Africa, and a native. Y'all ain't the same people. Are you going to say, oh, that's what we're trying to say? Well, then why do you have African bloodline in you? I mean, look, it literally, look, it says here, page 119. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me not kind of jump around because I want to stick to the point. Let me not jump around, fam. All right, hold on. Because I'm getting ahead of myself here. And for some reason, this is not even doing it right anyhow. So I might as well stick to my plan. I don't want to get away from my plan. Okay? So we'll be back to this book. Give me a moment.
Here pretty often is when they say that you've never seen a slave ship. Slave ships don't exist. And my question to that is, how do you think white people got here? Can anyone find the Mayflower or the Santa Maria? Like, how far are we willing to go into denying our own history just to avoid acknowledging our painful past? Are we going to deny other people's history too? Oh, but they don't want us to know who we truly are. That's why they keep it hidden. Then why is it that every pretendian is alive and well, but the scholars that taught us we were African are the ones that got unalive or silenced by the U.S. government? Make it make sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to.
This is somebody from, I believe he's from Africa. I don't understand where from. specifically, but he says Black Americans deny African ancestry. It's deeper than you think. Right? So you know, honestly, I never really listened to his point of view. Let's kind of listen to it a little bit, right?
Yet another video by Saleni Reacts. If you're new to this channel, can you remember to push the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up? So today's conversation makes so many people very uncomfortable, but you know what? This needs to happen for once, yeah? Because I keep saying so many Black Americans saying I'm not African, yeah? And before anyone gets even defensive, let me make myself so clear. There is no day anyone is going to force you to identify as an African, or no one is going to force you into their culture. Yes, identity is personal and also culture is personal, but then ancestry is never going to be an option that you're going to choose. I belong to this.
Right there, that's beautiful. Ancestry is never going to be an option. That's why I say, fam, if I ain't, then I ain't. No big deal. Fuck, can't change that. You know what I mean? You can't. It's like you're either pregnant or you're not, bro. Like, you know, you can't be half pregnant. Like, your wife can't be half pregnant. She either is or she isn't. It's very simple. But again, there's a big word called confabulation, where you have gaps in memory, and somehow, some way, you create. You see these things, and you take these ideas, and you kind of put them in those spaces where it helps you glue this narrative, and all of a sudden you fucking believe it. You know, that actually leads into what's that disease called? Oh my God, bro. Where you lose your mind. Like that's I'm telling you, those are the beginning stages.
Yeah, never going to happen.
You are not an African American. You ain't no goddamn African. You are not from Africa. Nobody in your family's from Africa. You are from right here. This country, and the real name of it is called Tamari. And we are the Tamarikins. That is what our ancestors called themselves. Tamarikins. And I'm going to fix that with my textbook.
To everybody that calls me Somali, I'm not fucking Somali. I'm not Somalian. I'm not from Africa. I don't identify with anything African.
He goes more up. He don't identify with anything like African, right? So check this out. Here it goes. John, no. Hold on. I don't want to waste my time on this one. She says some dumb shit. Here it goes right here. Okay, I like this one right here. All right, check this out, fam. He makes this. I think the next one makes a good point.
Because if he does that, he forfeits his ability to get reparations as a U.S. citizen.
I'm truly convinced that the core of the Black indigenous movement is self-hate, is a sense of self-hate, because their idea of Africa has been defined for them as being something primitive. Of course, we all received that same perception growing up, that same narrative in the society. The society presented us that narrative, and I think that narrative is real deep in their heads. Your civilizations can trace thousands of years before this civilization here, and this expression is far more prolific than what's here. And on top of that, their cultural proliferation over here don't depict you anywhere. So how are you indigenous? You think because you see melanated people here that means, oh, we were already here. No, you're a whole different person. History of the Negroes in English America in Jamestown, Virginia, 1619. But that was the English colony. Before that colony, there were French and Spanish colonies that brought Negroes here too before then. And that goes into the 1500s. Throughout that time, from the 1500s up until the 1800s, that's 300 years, bro. There were numerous African people who went through a lot of different scenarios and circumstances and intermix or intermarry with native indigenous tribes and produce Black Indians. So that's over a 200-year period. That's a lot of generations in that time. So yeah, but that don't make you indigenous. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you have that in your history and you identify with that side, then that's you. You saying, hey, that's the side I choose to identify as indigenous, and that's the side because it's actually in me, though. It ain't me identifying with it because somebody told me that that's what all Black people really are, and we've been tricked and there was no slave trade and, you know, all this other stuff. And, you know, they don't even have...
Where's the boats?
Right, where's the boats? You know, they just making up stuff now. Now they saying, oh, the First World War was all of the European nations coming over here and waging war against the black people that were already here and then putting them into captivity or whatever. It's crazy. The Europeans is fighting against each other. They wasn't united to come and attack no one. You serious? That comes from not knowing, bro. If you don't know, then you're going to make up something or accept anything.
We don't want to judge people.
This brother makes an excellent point because I don't have beef with that, man. And I've said that in this channel, bro. If you have indigenous bloodline of ours and you want to ride with that shit, bro, I can't take that from you because that's your heritage. Now, if you want to claim that what these guys are claiming, then that's a different story. Now, if you want to go into the Bible, and then because the Bible says you are of that nation based on your father. So if we go that far, then I would say based on your father. If your father's a native and you're a native, then all praise. But if it's your mom, then based on the Bible, fam. You get what I mean? You can take layers off of this shit and then actually figure it out. Now, I'm glad that he said that. I'm glad that he said all that. Because right here we have well, let me show you. This book is called, right, Black Society in Spanish Florida. Okay. It's by Jane Landers. Now, I have the book. I'm going to show you some pages from here. And then I'm going to show you some pages from the book because it doesn't actually show everything. On page 2, listen to this right here. It says you that, hold on, it says here, I'll start off here. This is not to suggest that Spain and its colonies were free of racial prejudice. However, acknowledgement of the slave's humanity and rights and liberal manumission policy eased the transition from slave to citizen and allowed the formation of significant free black society throughout the Spanish world, which is what he's talking about. Before the 13 colonies, French and Spaniards were here. And them bastards, didn't come alone. And you guys assisted them in ways of war, in what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? In trade. You know what I'm saying? You guys had the better positions than we did as natives. Like, we were below you guys. And this is what you don't even know about. But let's continue. It says here, throughout world Spain, the exceptionally rich documentary evidence on persons of African descent in Florida demonstrate how, given the proper condition, both the enslaved and the recently freed could actually work, quote unquote, the system. You see what I'm saying? Where the government favors you. The laws favored you. You can, get positions. You own land. You had head rights programs. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's a system where you can move up, where it benefits you. Actually work the system. We didn't have that advantage. Having experienced a much restrictive form of slavery, the newly emancipated were all the more motivated to test the limits of freedom among the Spaniards. Soon after the conclusion of the American Revolution, the adolescent government of the United States began testing its strength against its international neighbors. Fueled by reports from Georgian planters, it viewed Spanish Florida with a mixture of fear and desire. How come that's never been mentioned by these FBAs, wobbled idiots? I don't understand this shit. How come you don't ever bring up history in Florida? Like, actually history and read it and show us. The significant and armed free black class living in Florida, reputed for both its militancy and its alliance with the Seminoles, set an unacceptable example for plantation slaves of the Anglo-South. Thus, the United States government not very covertly supported a number of hostile actions against Spanish Florida, including the Patriot War of 1812. See, this is where they start taking all these lands now, right? Before 1848, remember that, 1848, they took all of the West. In 1812, they were moving down to Florida. The naval attack on the Black Fort and settlement, the naval attack on the Black Fort, Spaniards, and settlements at Prospect Bluff on the Apalachicola River in 1815, and Andrew Jackson's devastating raids against Black and Seminole villages along the Suwannee River in 1812. The brother we showed earlier, he was right. And I'm going to show you more material so you can see how the actual Seminole people were decimated or they had to migrate out of there. It says here, the same hostility towards free blacks living among the Seminoles. Hello, what does that mean? Like he said, there was a mixture. Do you know what I'm saying? So unless your father is a native, originally from here, based on even science, okay, that's technically your lineage. That's why you have the paternal and maternal. The paternal is your father. Science and the Bible says that that's who you are technically. If you want to find out who your father is, your bloodline, you need your father's DNA to determine that, not your mother's. Such same hostility towards free blacks living among the Seminoles and the Seminoles' refusal to return their allies and family members to slavery laid at the heart of the three Seminole Wars from 1812 and 1859. You see, this is where it's very fucking offensive. Not only do our brethren help y'all, but now you're spitting in the face of who they really were. Why? For a couple fucking dollars? When in 1821, Spain finally turned Florida over to the officials of the United States. You see that in 1821, fam? Do you understand that? Everybody forgets shit happened here while, the 13 colonies were getting together. Okay? You have Spaniards, you have the French, and then you have all of our native brothers all across the West. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, where are we missing this information from? Like, did you not go to school or what the fuck? When in 1821, Spain finally turned Florida over to the officials in the United States territorial government, it did not abandon its black citizens. Hello, did he call them Seminoles? No. This is, by the way, black society in Spanish Florida. You see what I'm saying? This is you guys writing this information. As in Louisiana, Sessions treaties required the incoming government to respect the legal status and property rights of free blacks. Some free blacks, right, who had acquired property and invested years of hard work in improving it, decided to stay in Florida and risk trusting the newcomers to honor their treaty promises. As we know how the Anglos work, they didn't fucking honor that shit. But most of the free black community, like their predecessors in 1763, joined in a mass exodus to Cuba. Others fought on with the Seminoles and shared their faith, their fate. So you see this, fam? Lots of Africans in Florida or Spaniard Africans, right, who were here. If they stayed, let's put it this way, they would have been called American citizens, pretty much, or African Americans, like these guys are. You see what I mean? Others fought with the Seminoles, but they ended up dying. For more than 3 centuries, you see this? That's what the brother said too. 300 years. Black helped shape the geopolitics of American Southeast and repeatedly created viable communities in Florida when conditions permitted. Now, for some people, it may be like, that's okay. So we're gonna that's gonna be too much, right? It's gonna be lying. It's totally lying. He's fucking lying and shit. No, I'm not. Watch this page. I'm gonna show you page 67. And then, matter of fact, I'll show you. Hold on a second. Where are you at? Let me see if I can do it right now. So this is the book we're looking at, okay? Right here. Page 67. All right. Watch this. Pay attention. Remember the exodus of certain people? Okay. This is, again, what book are we reading? Oh, my bad. Black Society in Spanish Florida. Black Society in Spanish Florida. Black Society in Spanish Florida. Okay? And why is there people there? Because Nara Baez and Hernandez Soto took you guys there. What the fuck you think? Now watch this. Page 67 talks about. Watch. Let me just show you this real quick. Okay. It says here. Until that exodus, blacks had outnumbered whites 2-1 in East Florida. Oh, let me go back. Yeah, let's go back here. All right, let's go to page 67, same one, all the way up to the top, okay? Slaves also harvested lumber from Florida's thick forest, sawed timber, and prepared naval stores for exports. While official policies called the white Protestant settlements, while official policy called for white Protestant settlements, Governor Grant encouraged slave imports for strenuous work, stating that Africans are the only people to do work with warm climate. Grant also noted that white laborers were unsatisfactory because upon their landing, they are immediately seized with the pride which every man is possessed of who wears a white face in America. Basically, you lazy fucking bums, huh? Oh, I'm white. I don't like to work. Yeah, wow, bro. You guys are just a chosen nation. Just a fucking chosen shit. It's fucking funny. See, I'm telling you, family, it's just repetitiveness, man. It's like a cycle. It's like cycles. Nations are cycles, specifically our history. And they say they won't be slaves, and so they make their escape. Yeah. Well, when British loyalties were forced to the course of an American Revolution to evacuate Charleston and Savannah, East Florida provided a last haven, and the refugees brought more than 8,000 slaves with them. Until that exodus, blacks had outnumbered whites 2-1 in East Florida, and the influx raised that ratio closer to 3-1. The labor force in British East Florida then was predominantly black and African born. Now, you see that? Black and African born. Now, this is again their history. The usual problem of slave control were exacerbated by the chaos of war, continued migration of new loyalist refugees. Okay, so now let's skip here real quick, and now we're going to get back into the point. Rise of the Seminole Nation. The exodus or extinction of Florida's indigenous nations. Do you hear this? The exodus or extinction of Florida's indigenous nation. You know what I mean? Not some random one. What's up, brother? Good to have you here, bro. Not some random one. Okay? Created a vacuum in Middle Florida. And in the later 18th century, Lower Creek groups who came to be the Seminoles established flourishing villages in the interior savannas. What? You see this, family? This is documentary right here, okay? So it says that these original Seminole Indians, due to their exodus or extinction, right, created a vacuum in the Middle Florida. And in the later 18th century, why do you think these people who claim to be us only bring documentation from like 1840 or 1860 or 18 some shit from there? And here it confirms that because of this vacuum, the Lower Creek group who came to be the Seminoles established flourishing villages in the interior savannah. So this basically means that the original indigenous people, right, they either left or were killed. And these other ones took their name. When the Pennsylvania naturalist William Bartram visited Cuscohuila, the capital of the Alachua Seminoles in the 1770s, he described a prosperous settlement based upon agriculture, innumerable drove of cattle, and scourdom of a beautiful fleet of Seminole horses. Bartram found a population which already had been tinctured with Spanish civilization. Some of the Seminoles wore little silver crucifix upon to a wampum collar around their necks and suspended by a small chain upon their breasts. Remember, keep in mind that this is after, right? You see this? So there was Seminoles here, and some people somehow, some way decided to take their name. And there's other books that I've shared with y'all that actually show exactly how that occurred. You know, this one doesn't get into it too much. Then it says here, masters and formidable Indians, enemies of the Spaniards ever had. Bartram noted that the Seminole slaves were then defeated Yamasee Indians. You see this? So you see on page 67 how it says that the original people were either exodus or extinct, right? And then others took over their name later on those years, right? Okay, remember the other article that we read, the so-called RB1 report, that he says that supposedly certain tribes attacked the Yamasee, who were originally the black native Indians? Well, here we see that these supposedly Seminole slaves were then defeated Yamasee Indians, who kept their slave status for the rest of their lives. So they're saying that now Seminole Indians enslaved Yamasees. Like, what are we doing here? You see what I mean? Let me see if I got this going on. Now let's go to page 251. There it goes right here, coming up. Okay, hold on. 251. There it goes right here. 251. Watch what it says. And remember, we're talking about years after years, right? 300-400 years. Okay? Remember when Narvaez landed in these islands, it was around 1515. So now if we go to page 251, I think you'll start understanding what occurred. Okay? Now I'm going to read from here to there so you can actually see what we're talking about. Working with Vinnie Jones and Dennis Matthews, producers of the awarded television documentary Black Warriors of the Seminoles for WUFT at the University of Florida, was also rewarding in assisting the research. I advanced my own and took it to a new direction at the symposium organized by Broward Community College in Fort Lauderdale. Dennis Matthews and I were able to meet with Seminole educators and reestablish some links between Black and Seminole histories. Okay? Almost all the research on the Black Seminole and Seminoles has relied on English language records, most of them generated by enemy military figures. Hardly any unbiased or accurate source on which to depend. You see this? Did we just read clearly what's going on? So this person took it further. Instead of just a status quo documentary. No, not at all. She says, much more remains to be done in the rich Spanish records for that chapter of Florida history. See? And that's part of the history that these people are ignoring. Why are you ignoring this part of the history? Did you not know that you were part of Florida? Did you not know that you guys were Spaniards originally? Did you not know that you guys had Spanish last claims way before we did? In Florida? Narvaez, Garcia, Bertrand. Come on, man. Did you not know that you guys were Negro conquistadors? No different than the white ones? No different than the Jews? Did you not know that? Or did it take somebody like me to tell you? Maybe you needed to open up that can of worms in order for you to hear this truth then. Maybe that's what it needed to take. Much more remains to be done in the rich Spanish records for that chapter in Florida history. And Brent Wiseman has pointed us to the need of historical archaeology of Black Seminole villages. Watch. 2 other projects have allowed me to follow my protagonist. Follow my protagonist to Cuba. In 1991, Ralph Johnson, Associate Dean of the University of Florida's College of Architecture, organized a trip to look for evidence of a resettlement of Mo's refuge in Cuba. We found that the story of the Black immigration from Florida to Cuba was unknown in Havana, Matanza, or Ceiba, Mocha. But scholars and lay persons alike were eager to know more about that history. A subsequent trip in 1993 with Latin American Microform Project, Team Eugene Leon, Beth Leon, and Jim Craig allowed a more intensive search throughout 18th century records in Havana Regla, and Guanabacoa, and produced more important fragments of the past. A full search for the refugees, for this most remains to be done. And although there has been some historical and archaeological work done to the Black Seminole settlements in Bahamas, no one has yet to begin to track the Black Seminoles whom the Cubans rescued from the Florida coast following Andrew Jackson's devastating raid. Nor does those who immigrated to Cuba with the Spaniards when Florida became a territory of the United States. Pay attention to this, family. I wanted to read all of that to you so you can see that I don't hide shit. There's nothing to hide here. Nothing to hide here. Because once you know history, you know where these names come from and you understand their root, who they are. So it's either confabulation, ignorance, or just plain fucking stupidity. Or maybe you just want money, man, and y'all just a bunch of grifters, and that's why you do it. Maybe that's why you actually ask for super chats and shit, because I don't ask for that. I've been running my channel for 4 years now. I don't ask for that stuff. One time I did a fundraiser for my son. That was the only time. But like, I don't know what it is. Teach your people correctly. These varied historical trails, which I had followed, remind us again that the colonial Africans about whom I write were also international travelers. Some freely crossed the Atlantic with Spaniards and accompanied them throughout the Americas on almost unbelievable journeys of exploration and conquest. When these people in ICPK, IUIC, GMS try to bring you that stupid chart that we're the same people, we had the same struggle, they're fucking lying to you, gente. Let's go back. Some freely crossed the Atlantic with the Spaniards and accompanied them throughout the Americas on almost unbelievable journeys of exploration and conquest. Others were forcibly transported across the Middle Passage as slaves bound for Carolina and Georgia. Almost immediately, some escaped and traveled through the southeastern and Florida Indian nations, where some stayed to create a new life. Others moved on to Florida, where they became part of the Caribbean and Atlantic world. Come on, man. What the hell, bro? And this is like, I'm just reading. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like, oh, well, you know, these people. I don't care about all the other bullshit that maybe people argue about. You guys were the originators of music and all that. That don't matter. I don't care about that. If you were great, if you weren't great, don't matter to me. People create things all the time. Shit, a lot of stuff that everybody uses, other nations create. Are you not going to use it anymore? Stop using your iPhone if you hate the fucking white man so much. You know what I'm saying? It's just stupid to me. From the port of St. Augustine, Africans roamed the Atlantic on corsairing commissions that took them northward as far as North Carolina. And if they were unlucky, to New York. Others moved via Spanish commercial, military, and diplomatic missions to and from the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Mexico, and Cuba. However, when Florida became part of the U.S., blacks lost physical and social mobility as well as citizenship. That's a dagger right there. What do you got? Well, what do we have to gain by joining BHI? Really, what do not? I mean, let's put it this way: they don't teach you guys shit. They tell you you're a burro, right? You is a car. Sit down, shut up. Let Judah teach. And y'all ain't even Judah. You're listening to Canaanites for the most part. Then it says here, let's see, what else do we got? So, however, Florida became part of the U. Okay, yeah. So, however, Florida became part of the U.S. And blacks lost physical and social mobility as well as citizenship. And you know, maybe for you guys that are claiming to be Seminoles originally, that we were never here, maybe you fucking lost your minds too. The shockwaves of the slave revolt in Santo Domingo and subsequent violence in Haiti, combined with two more costly and deadly wars against the Seminoles and their black allies, led to the increasing and repression of both the enslaved Africans and their early, more empowered history. The loss of international border and the black and Spanish military allies who fought alongside them also badly weakened the Seminoles. But influential black Seminole leaders such as Abraham Harry and Juan Caballo resisted removal westward as long as they practically could. You see this now? So once you start learning history, you understand now. As you're reading in context, you know where to place these people. Seminoles, the white black Seminoles. Why couldn't not? Because of that. Because of that. No, I'm going to continue. But I got this video to show y'all. And again, I don't get into these things regarding music or whatever that shit is. It don't matter to me. And I don't get into like the politics you guys got going on. Like I don't do no like gangster channels. I don't do that. You guys know what I do. I teach history, show you guys who we are regarding history, our customs, and how certain books, important ones, basically mention that it's you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get into too much of this, but I've been saying this since 2022. It was going to bleed into y'all's genre. I knew it, and it's here. Okay, so here we got, I think Marvelous is talking to some other people, and they're basically arguing about who created what. Okay, so I don't care about the who created what stuff, the music, who came first, whatnot. But what I tripped on was that guy right there, Aboriginal power. All right, so I don't know what his story is or if this is about music, but this one right here on the bottom, Aboriginal power. Pay attention.
Fire Away podcast had an intense conversation about race and comments made on the Hood Stocks podcast. Let's get to this video, and thank you to everyone who has been watching and subscribed to my channel.
Culture, none. But we see Hispanics doing black culture, but shitting on us as a people, though.
And then another thing is we can't let
That
y'all
doesn't even make
redirect
sense.
what is hip hop.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
We can't let y'all redirect what is hip hop. Hip hop.
Look at bro. Look at.
Hip-hop,
Ain't nobody redirect.
Again, I don't care about that. You know what I mean? It don't matter to me. Focus on the topic. Watch what this guy starts bringing up. He calls Marvelous a mongoloid eventually. Check it.
What is hip hop? But you're not going to say that's yours and be a gatekeeper.
Hold on, you're the outsider, bro. Hip hop deals with 5 elements, bro. Simple as that. It's 5 elements to hip hop.
Let's hear this.
It doesn't deal with poetry. And the thing is, they was all independently created by the black people in America. You guys came along later, and we allowed you guys to be participants in it.
That you guys came along here later. So you got dumbasses like that Aboriginal power who will probably never debate me on my channel or me on his channel. It doesn't matter what fucking channel, right? Now they're bleeding into their shit. Right? Now you know that. Now you got Ice Cube saying, oh, well, Native Americans, we here first. Man, we were those people. I mean, you got Snoop following that shit too. Really? But again, these guys ain't necessarily pushing back. You see what I mean? And like I said it to y'all, fam, for a while. I told you since 2022, bro. Stop fucking joining these camps. Stop saying, okay, I'll give you an example, fam. When BHI says that you're part of the camp, you know what they're fucking saying? They're saying that the reason why you got light skin is because you mixed with a white man in 1492. But when Jesus comes back, you're going to look like them. So basically, they're confirming what the Wobbles are fucking saying, dumbasses. But no, it's like, what the? Are you guys not fucking thinking? Like, seriously, ¿le tienen pedo, güey? ¿Les entró un pinche pedo en la cabeza, cabrones? That's exactly what they're saying. BHI is saying what the Wobbles are saying. They're just using the Bible. Now you got Wobbles saying, oh, yeah, we're Hebrews too. That's why they want the fucking Jews, fam. They don't want your flower. They don't want your feathers. You see that idiot with his feathers? They don't want that shit. They want something else. They want to fit the prophecy. So watch this. Let's continue.
Bro, what are you talking about?
False. No, bro, it's MCing, it's DJ, it was breakdancing, it was graffiti, and it was knowledge of self.
You know what? Let me explain something. Let me explain something. Okay, go ahead.
It wasn't about captivity. We started a culture in the inner city, the Bronx, New York, to be exact. Yeah, they got some people of like Jamaican descent, but they had Black American influence because that's where they were raised.
The Jamaicans even copied the Black Americans. Like
started telling our stories. We started telling our stories via.
Again, I don't care about the music, but let's continue. And you know what? I do get the point. You know what I mean? Yeah, on WA, you got a lot of these hardcore rap. It came from our gente, bro. The Chucks, the Lowriders, the Bikes. You know what I'm saying? That's all gangster shit. Gangster rap is not NWA. You see what I mean? And y'all took that. But again, I don't care. It don't matter to me. It's another point that I'm trying to make. Let's go.
Rap. It caught fire. It went worldwide. Every culture is now a part of it. But don't get it misconstrued. That is still Black culture that they're a part of. We can't change their history.
Look at. Let me explain something because you just said.
You see the irony in this whole argument? You can't change their history. But yet you on the bottom who is listening to them and y'all friends too, I'm pretty sure you maybe you do say it. Y'all trying to change our history.
You just said what I said right now. They were telling the story, right? Through dance, music, and song, right?
Yeah, but it was the Black American experience. This wasn't.
What is black? Is Puerto Rican black? Is Colombian black? Is Cubano black?
They have black in their history.
Listen, y'all was telling y'all.
Man, you're so caught up on the word black. That's what keeps you. That's what keeps you in your little box. You're so caught up on that word.
Keep it G. I'm not caught up on the word. What I'm caught up on is anything that we create. No one wants to give us the utmost credit for it. It's like, yeah, y'all
let me
created it, but we like it.
Let me tell you something, though. This is what you're not understanding, bro.
Anything that y'all create, we give y'all the credit. Like
Viral, check it out. Check it out, Viral. Check it out. Let me say this one thing because I gotta start my show. But let me say one thing, bro. Let me say one thing. This isn't something that you started. This is both of our stories of captivity that we're expressing through music and dance. So you can't go claim the fame as a single segment group, bro. You can't do that.
It's not both of our stories.
Bro,
this is something we
not in captivity, bro.
You need to study, bro.
See the guy in the bottom? He says, you're not in captivity. He said, you're not in captivity. Hence, he sees Marvelous like as a white guy. That's what these fucking people are doing, fam. Let's continue.
You need to study history.
Bro, you can't tell me to study my history.
What do you mean study your history? I actually teach your history. What are you talking about?
That's cool, but you can't tell me about my history more than me. The fact that you're saying
tell us about your Asian history. Why you don't talk about?
You can tell him about your. Okay, here we go.
Your Asian history that you got.
And what do you? You're coming out with some nonsense, homie. Where did you get Asian from? Where did you get that from? Where did you get that from?
Bro, he don't know nothing about the lineage, bro. He don't know nothing about the lineage talk, bro.
No, you don't know anything about the lineage talk, homie. You should watch.
Oh, so he does agree on this shit. Okay, so we got two wabos. One that's, obviously saying it. This one in secret, right? You're about to believe it too. You probably do too. You just, you don't say it. So this is what we call as waboism, creating bullshit, confabulation about history that you don't even fucking read about. You don't even read about this history. You went with the narrative of some idiots that wanted to put that shit in your mind. FBA used, what's his name? Ivan Sertima's stupid fucking book. And then he used the other German guy's book. I have both of the books. And you know what? They got more statues of people looking like us than them. But no, you just want to use that little snap picture. Culomeados really fucked your brains up. That's curomeo. Curomeo like completely decimated your minds with his bullshit stories. But again, let's continue.
My show, homie. You should watch my podcast so you can learn something about your culture. Because what you're dealing with right now, what you're dealing with right now is a trend, homie. You're stuck in a trend. And a gang mentality, homie. This has nothing to do with gangs. This has nothing to do with gangs.
Something about the white culture, right? Let's continue.
Make that shit make sense. I'm gonna learn something about a black culture from Hispanic. Make that make sense, bro. As
far as I know, I've been educating you guys on this fucking channel of mine, and guess what? All I hear is crickets. I don't hear no pushback from nobody of you guys telling me that I'm wrong, that you're not Negro Conquistadors, that you came with the white man, you brought smallpox, all of that shit. No pushback. Why? Because I bring facts. I don't bring feelings. I don't do none of that shit. I don't got time for fucking feelings. I'm 50 years old, man. I grew up in a different era, in the 90s. I don't have time for fucking bullshit. Give me a break, bro.
I'll make a whole lot of sense with it.
Come on, bro. That shit don't even sound
correct. Right now, and you're emotional. That's what it is. You're emotional, and you don't know how to deal with it.
Tell a black man about black culture. Ain't nobody non-black tell a black man about black culture, and you non-black. It don't work like that.
So you're black?
Work like that.
Are you black? Are you black?
Hold on. I don't want to mute y'all. Look, the fact that you just asked this man, what does Asia have to do with Mexican culture? That let me know you ain't studied enough.
See what I'm saying? You see what I mean, fam? You see what I mean? As a matter of fact, I'm going to let it play for like 2 minutes because I'm going to use the bathroom, all right? I'll be back.
So how can you tell us about our culture?
You guys are just piggybacking off of it. Asian has nothing to do with our culture. The Bering Straits got nothing to do with our culture.
Go look at where y'all
Hold on, you talking about the Bering? Hold on, you talking about the Bering Straits?
And talking about man, you guys are mixed up, man. You guys are mixed up.
We talking about the Pacific slave trade from Asians being enslaved in colonial Mexico. Do you not know about the treaty?
Okay, listen. What are you talking? Of course I do. Of course I do. I talk about it on my show. Maybe you don't know who I am, but I talk about all that on my show. What this has to deal with? What this has to deal with is a Russian dude disrespecting you guys and using the words from a movie that was put out. That's what it has to deal with. You deal with that person as a man. You deal with that person as a man, not a whole neighborhood, homie. You don't want that war. Don't do that. Bro, don't do that.
What war, bro?
I'm saying because you're calling out all the Southsiders, homie. You're saying you're disrespecting the whole card. Don't do that.
What war, bro? We're not the only blacks in the world, bro.
I'm not saying that. But you don't want to do that, bro. You don't want to do that.
Tell me what
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You can't tell me what I want to do. I want to do exactly what I'm doing and speak up for my people. The same way y'all speak up for
Then speak up for your people. Then teach them then.
So
then teach them. Because I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. It was a fucking movie link. It was a movie reference. Where in that conversation did he reference the movie?
What did he say?
You know what he said. You
okay? Where did he get that line from?
I can't tell you because he never referenced the movie in that convo.
He doesn't have to reference the movie, but he heard it from somewhere, right?
I don't give a fuck where he heard it from.
The bottom line, listen, Byron.
Listen, I heard a lot of derogatory racist words.
I did too.
Towards the Mexican community in movies. That don't mean I'm gonna get on my podcast and say them and say, well, I heard that in a fucking movie.
Okay, then address that man in his podcast, not a neighborhood. Not a neighborhood.
No, I'm addressing that whole culture because that whole culture is trying to get involved in our culture while saying we don't fuck with your culture. So why are you trying to be a part of it?
So then you're the racist then. You're the one saying that you don't fuck with our culture, right? That's what you just said.
What? Tell me where I said that.
Didn't you just say that?
Tell me where I said that.
Right now, you just said, repeat what you said.
I said
that you don't fuck with our culture.
That whole South Side thing where she said I can't date a black because it's against the rules. That culture wants to rap. That culture gets on our podcast. That culture gets cosigns from our rappers to make money and be a part of our culture. And we welcome y'all with open arms. But
who's we? Who's we?
Who we? Anybody?
Who's we, homie? You're not the one making a deal. You're not the one signing. You're not a producer. Who are you?
I don't give a fuck. If you black, I'm black. So it's a part of my.
You're not even black. So what are you talking about? Why don't you learn the definition of the word that you're using? Fool, you're brown.
I know the word. I already said it earlier in the show. Yeah, it means dead and not a human and all that.
Okay, look it. That's all I'm gonna say, homie. Don't drag gang shit into it. If she said that statement, then that's what she said. And if that Russian dude said that statement, then hold that man accountable, fool. Don't bring gang shit or politics into it. That's all I'm gonna say, dog. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's what you do.
You're gonna get a lot of youngsters hurt that watch you, bro. That's what you're gonna do.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, because people are going to try to make a point out of your emotions. That's why.
Ain't that what I just said? Yeah, look, he running now. Exactly. This is why you can't have a conversation with him. The true feelings come out every single time.
So, as you can see, we have buffoonery from different avenues. From different locations, from different directions. And quite frankly, family, man, you guys are finally understanding that you have the Jewish nation, the Jewish people, they fucking hate you. The Anglo-Saxon, they fucking hate you. And the Negro, they fucking hate you. You can't deny that shit no more. So please get out of those fucking rooms, man. You're making a fool of yourselves, and your fucking children are watching that shit. It's like, for real? Now watch. This is on that book of Hernán Cortés between 1512 and 1568. On page 100, regarding the expedition of Bartolomé Narváez to Florida, it says, after 3 days sailing, they went with more Indians on a canoe and applied to them fresh water. The Indians promised to give them fresh water enough if they would go with them vessels to bring it in. A Spaniard and a Negro went ashore with them to get water, and 2 Indians stayed in their place. At night, the Indians brought back the vessels, but not a drop of water in them. You see this right here? So, what is like the video had said? Spaniards also came with African people here. Page 108, still in Florida. Alvaro replied that his design was to pass into a country where there were Christians. Durante, Castillo, and the Negro Estebano, who appears to have been one of the 13 determined to fly with him, being one of the conquistadors. Right? He assisted in the conquering, the killing, the raping, the feeding gente to dogs. He assisted in all of that. Hey, what up, bro? Maybe I might not say what's up to you. My bad, dude. I don't know if I did. What's up, Lameshi? Hold on. Let me see what else I missed. I think over revealed I might have missed you. No, I didn't. I got you. Let me see. And then shalom, bro. Cool. All right, so now let's continue to more words similar to this. Where we see page 110. Again, his name is brought up. Estebano, the Negro. These last Indians had said that their father, farther in the shore, there was a nation called Camones, and that these Camones had killed all the Spaniards who were in the bark of the Pañalosa in Telles. See? So you see, this is the first time we start really seeing this communication going on. And constantly telling them Alvarado took him with him, the Negro, and 12 Indians. This is the same book that says that they saw people as light as them, remember? Right. So it's not uncommon to see these things. So now let's go into here. When you actually look up this word, it says page 119. After leaving Havana, having made 500 leagues, the vessel arrived at the Azores, and the next day, in passing near the islands of Cuervo, they perceived a French vessel in company with a caravel loaded with Negroes. So this is in 1512, fam. So you see that even French are starting to bring them in the early 1500s. Watch this. Hernandez Soto in Nicaragua, okay? Several Spaniards, 30 Negroes, and a great number of Indians were employed for the purpose. They had now other roads but Indian paths strangling through most impoverished forests, across torrents, and up rugged defiles broken by rocks and precipices. I think they're going up north in some river, Istmos or some shit like that. Not like in, down south, but like going up north, going north on the river. Do you see this here? Spaniards, 30 Negroes to Nicaragua. This is why that other book that we read earlier regarding the black society in Spanish Florida, where it's talking about, before you guys forget what occurred, many blacks came with the Spaniards. We were the ones that saw this happening. Those people that died, those natives, those are our people. The ones you're spitting on. The ones you think you are. The rape, the slaughter, and murder came from your nation of people, black and white. And Jews, if you want to exclude them as black or white, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We see this for a fact. Who financed the slave trade? It was Jews. So-called, self-proclaimed, right? Who assisted? We see who now. Who came later? The actual Anglos. Who's right now hating you the most? Stephen Miller is a self-proclaimed Jew, right? He's passing all these deportational anti-immigrant laws to get rid of everybody that looks MESHIACHA like you, right? Who's supporting him? Anglos. And who's saying they're the real natives of North America? You can see it a mile away, family. 252, History of Florida. It says, therefore, in order to be no longer obliged to do things to which they had so great an aversion, they nearly all hung themselves. And there were found in the morning in the single village, 50 families which had made their way themselves in this manner. The Spaniards, frightened at the horror of this spectacle, tried to divert the rest of the barbarians from a resolution so cruel, but it was useless. The greater part of the island and nearly all their neighbors ended their lives by the same kind of death. Hence, it comes that now they pay very dearly for Negroes whom they take to the mines. So see, they took our people to go, the despair of some of the inhabitants of Cuba. I had to kill themselves instead of fucking dealing with this shit. So that these poor Indians, right, limited themselves to what nature demanded for its substance. This is what really occurred. You want to talk about your suffering? Fine. But don't exclude the fact that you benefited from this too. It says here on page, on the bottom, 252, it says, thus the troops were augmented with all the retinue of Porcaya, and that helped exceedingly for he had a great number of Spaniards, Negroes, Indians, and many domestics, and more than 80 horses, 30 for its individual service, and 50 which he gave to the cavaliers of the army. Great number. That's why when you start considering, right? We're going to move on to some books now. When you start considering the history and the documentation, and like, for example, hold on. My bad, fam. Shit, man, can't spell. So here we see Narvaez landed approximately 600 Europeans and unknown number of Africans somewhere in Tampa Bay in 1528. You see that? Let me see if I can get page 13. All of these things matter. Let me see. Narvaez, where you at? Hold on. What page is it? Not previewed. It can't be page 13, is it? Am I blind? Let's see. So let me read it real fast. Hold on. Approximately 1528. No, it's not this page. Let me look up his name real quick, fam. Hold on. Espérame, güey. Narvaez, ¿dónde estás, cabrón? Yeah, page 13. It's in here. Where the hell are you? Hold on, let me read this slowly, dude. Fuck, I can't. There we go. All right, hold on. Let me take a picture. This is why reading matters. This is why history matters. This is why you can't ignore what's obviously in your face, no matter how much you try. Because, I don't know. What can I tell you? Check this out. This is on page 13. Boom. Right? Page 13. On the bottom, it says, despite the slave arson here, matter of fact, it's we can go as far as up here. Yeah, let's go out here. That's good. Ayllón named the settlement San Miguel de Guadalupe. His expedition included some 600 Spanish men, women, and children, as well as first known contingents of African slaves brought to the present-day United States. Paul Hoffman theorized they were probably Ladinos or Spanish-speaking Catholics who were skilled artisans and domestics, and they may have been. But by the time Ayllón was preparing his expedition, a large Bozal or African-born population performed the mining and agricultural labor in Hispaniola. And it is equally possible that Ayllón brought with him some of those slaves capable of the hard work of transforming the wilderness into the new settlement. In view of their history in Hispaniola, it seems unlikely that the Spaniards intended to do such demanding labor themselves. Ayllón's ambition enterprise was quickly undermined by disease, starvation, and his own death. Mutiny ensued, and defective elements took control of the failing colony. Then, as winter approached, some African slaves set fire to the compound of the mutineers, an act that raises interesting as yet unexplored questions about the slaves' political alignments. At the same time, the Guala Indians rose against the Indians, completing the settlement's destruction. The surviving Europeans straggled back to Hispaniola, but the escaped Africans took up residence among the Guale, becoming the first Maroons in what is today the U.S. as many of their counterparts were already doing in Española, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Cuba, and Mexico, right? Despite the slave arson at Guadalupe, the next major colonization effort of La Florida was also incorporated Africans. Pamphilo de Narvaez, if you guys are familiar with him, he is from the book called Dogs of Conquest, okay? Dogs of Conquest. And you guys probably never heard of this book. Maybe you have. I hope you have. Because this is a fucking horrible man right here. Okay? So if he, remember, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Narvaez. Narvaez is kind of a big deal on this book here. Okay? This man here, Pamphilo de Narvaez, watch this. Pamphilo de Narvaez had been commissioned. This is, the Dogs of Conquest, okay? Pamphilo de Narvaez had been commissioned to explore Florida in 1526, the same year as Guzman had gone to Panuco and Montejo to Yucatan. Narvaez's experience in the New World had begun at the close of the 15th century on Española. He accompanied Juan de Esquivel to Jamaica and then joined Diego de Velázquez in Cuba, subjugating the natives by burning their villages while unleashing his dogs on men, women, and children. He returned to Spain to receive his commission and landed at First Florida in April 1528, accompanied by dogs fully capable of destroying Indians. These dogs probably came from the state of Vasco Porcayo de Figueroa, whom Narvaez had known in Cuba. Cabeza served at the expedition as treasurer and provost marshal. See? Now, this bastard, what did he do? Pamphilo de Narvaez landed approximately 600 Europeans and unknown number of Africans somewhere near Tampa Bay in 1528. The same tactics that he used in Cuba, the same tactics that he used in Mexico, is the same tactics that he used in Florida. I don't see no natives benefiting from this fucking attack from Pamphilo Diaz and Europeans and unknown Africans, like these wobbles that are sitting here around on TikTok or YouTube having the fucking audacity or nerve, I'll use your favorite word, to claim that we're Mongolians. Like that just reminds you how fucking dumb society has turned. You know, and if anything, people are just damaging the next generation. Yeah, I mean, fuck, I can already imagine how messed up that's going to be. Why are you running from this history? You guys are so quick to tell the white man that they committed these atrocities, but you're not quick to accept the fact that this is what you did as well. The most famous was an expedition treasurer, Alnar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca, who left a written account of his trials. But Esteban, the African slave, the African conquistador, also survived. Cabeza de Vaca wrote that Esteban quickly learned the language of the indigenous group and was often the negotiator for the party. Yeah, the bastard got killed. Thank God. Meanwhile, drawing on lessons learned from fortunes won in Peru, where Africans also fought along Spaniards. Hernandez Soto hoped to succeed in Florida, where his predecessor failed. We just read that book earlier. When Hernandez Soto showed up over there in Florida, right, they saw what? Light-skinned people like us. They didn't see no African-looking people. No, they brought Africans with them. Y'all helped our people get slaughtered. That's a hard pill to swallow, but you're going to have to, because those are facts, not bullshit. After, it says here that, let's see, both free and enslaved Africans joined in 1539 expedition through what is now the southern United States. One slave from the Soto's expedition, Gomez, assisted the cacica of Cositaki in her escape from the Spaniards and returned as her husband to the headquarters near present-day Camden, South Carolina. Along the way, other sub-Saharan and Moorish slaves, as well as free Spaniards. See? As well as free Spaniards. Hold on, let me read the next page. Went over to the Indians. You see that? This is crazy. For the next 3 centuries, the Indian nation of the vast territory of La Florida provided a potential refuge for enslaved Africans. Now you want to be those people. While you were here feeding our gente to dogs. Those are facts. I mean, why do we have to really disregard this information? You know, maybe it's good that you guys claim to be us, because it actually woke our brother like, wait, what the fuck are you saying? And then we open up this can of worms now. Now you're gonna have to deal with this can of worms. Because here we clearly see that, you know, like this book, The African Americans, Many Rivers Cross, page 3. I've shared this before, but let's get to it real quick. If not all the first explorers and conquerors of the New Spain were European, it is equally important and surprising to many of us to note that not all the first Africans who assisted the Spanish and Portuguese came as slaves. An untold number of free people of African descent, black conquistadors born in Africa or in Iberian Peninsula, also accompanied Spanish conquistadors such as Hernán Cortés, Ponce de León, two of the famed explorers. They all used dogs to slaughter our people, family. Not just disease. They didn't just bring smallpox. They brought dogs. Fed us to dogs. Two of the famed explorers of the vast region that would become modern Mexico in the western and southern regions of the United States. And as we might expect, these exploits were just as heroic and just as problematic as those of their fellow conquistadors. But far more Africans came with the Spanish and the Portuguese as slave servants with various degrees of freedom, attendants, and armed adventurers. While the number of African explorers is impossible to determine, they participated in some way in virtually all the Spanish expeditions in the New World in the 16th century. So all the killing, all the slaughter, you know, that book called The American Holocaust, right? The burning, right? You know that? The burning us by 13 and shit. The raping of our women and children, right? 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? All of that shit. Y'all did that. It wasn't just the white man. So-called self-proclaimed Jews did that. The so-called Anglos did that. The so-called Africans did that. That's a hard pill to swallow, but that's a fact. These black conquistadors set an example for subsequent racial relations throughout the entire Spanish colonial experience, living their daily lives with the degrees of complexity that would rarely be achieved by black men and women in early English settlements in the Caribbean and North America. Indeed, wherever Spain set its flag of conquest in the Americas, Africans helped hold the pendant. What are we talking about here? Back to Hernandez Soto, 1512, 1568. What happened to the troops in the wilderness? It says the day that the Spaniards left Chovala, they missed 3 slaves, of whom 2 were Negroes and the other Moor. Why? The love of women, rather than any bad treatment, had caused them to flee and live among the Indians. See why that? Do you see what I'm saying? Remember that video? 90% of you black women are no good, but it's okay because we still got the so-called Hispanic women. It never changes, does it? Who were so delighted to have them that they could never recover from whatever haste made for that purpose. As the Negroes loved their masters and passed for good Christians, they were surprised at their crime, but no one was astonished at the conduct of the Moor, who was crafty and wicked. Huh, interesting, isn't it? So now we see a variety of people. So in case you don't know this, family, Psalms 83 talks about a nation of people coming here and just decimating your you know, everything that you have, basically. You know, it's just it's funny to me, man, because when you really explore these books, right, and you start actually reading and listening to them, you know about these stories. Who is this Esteban, the fucking whatever? And you find out, like, I'm glad they killed his ass, bro. I'm glad they fucking slaughtered him. He well deserved it. That's what I would say. You know, and you know, all of this stuff, it happened, yeah. And you know, like they say, karma's a bitch. This doesn't go unpaid for. This doesn't go unpaid. You will pay for these crimes. And now you have the nerve of you to say that you are these people. So blacks fed other blacks that look like them to dogs? Really? So I asked this question to you guys. If the original Spaniards were here, right, and they brought the Christian compendium, how come you guys have no clue what that's about? How come no Ave Maria, Padre Nuestro, Credo, Diez Mandamientos, Rosario? How come you don't know nothing about that? Now that we have enough documentation, how much time I got? I got 140. All right, cool. Hold on. We're almost there. We're almost there. Check this out. Now you can understand why this is what it is. Right? The so-calleds. The so-calleds, I say. A group of black Seminole Indian scouts from Mexico helped Buffalo Soldiers during the Plain Wars to track other American Indian groups. See this? These men used their knowledge of the land to effectively do their job. Four of them will be awarded the Medal of Honor, who were the black Seminole Indian scouts, and how did they come to be an integral part of the Buffalo Soldiers, which they were also black. You see this? These guys were tracking Indian groups. They were helping Buffalo Soldiers. So these Buffalo Soldiers technically weren't called Buffalo Soldiers because you were supposedly your fucking woolly hair. No, you were Buffalo Soldiers because you were killing our native brothers and sisters. And these idiots that came from down south also helped you out. And I'm glad you're in that kind of state that you're all right now, bro. I'm glad that you guys, because there's several in Mexico. That's why you guys, and this is the thing about Raza, we knew that who they were, right? That's why you don't really see many of them in Mexico. We understand the history of these people. So here we see like how they helped the so-called other natives get killed. So you're just a Seminole by title, basically. During Indian removal before the Civil War, many Seminole people, including the Black Seminoles, were moved west to Indian Territory, modern-day Oklahoma. The Black Seminoles endured the same hardship of starvation and disenfranchisement as other Native people during that time. Upon the arrival of Indian Territory, they remained vulnerable to kidnapping and re-enslavement. And this is where they said, see, we were Indians and they named us black, but we were originally... No, this is where we go back to the actual book that shows that the exodus of the original indigenous, or the extension, created a vacuum, which created these tethers right here. These Negro tethers right here. That's what you guys are. West African Negro tethers. Where if we read the Bible, then I would consider you as Canaanites. If you believe in the Bible. And you move by that spirit. Because Canaan also stole the land that wasn't theirs. If you know the history of Canaan. You guys are doing the same shit. Stealing the heritage that's not yours. Stealing land that's not yours. Claiming to be people that you are not. That's the Canaanite history. That's why they got destroyed by the Most High. Or at least from what we're seeing. Now, why am I making a big deal? Because, listen, I wouldn't even have brought up this topic if you guys didn't remind me of it. See, this is why we can see this now. I understand now. That's why it didn't bother me. But I'm going to tell you this about these people. They never said that they were originally here.
These are the sights and sounds of El Día de los Negros, or Day of the Blacks, celebrated on Juneteenth in a town called Nacimiento de los Negros in Coahuila, Mexico.
My name is Ashley Rodriguez, and I'm a descendant of the Black Seminole Indian. My first time actually going to Nacimiento, I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And then from then on, we'll kind of make trips periodically down to Nacimiento to celebrate Juneteenth. Nobody really knows about the Mexican side of it.
Nacimiento de los Negros, which translates to birthplace of the blacks, is the town where the Black Seminoles, or Negros Mascogos, settled in 1849, just a few hours south of the Texas border. They are descended from slaves who escaped to Florida and later made their way down to Mexico.
We're talking about the 18th century, more or less. When they got to Florida, they mixed culturally with the Indian Seminoles, and they became the Black Seminoles.
We just read about that. Literally, we just read about that. What's up, brother? Good to have you. Make sure you like and share, fam. And put your notifications on, because I keep hearing they're unsubscribing you or you're turning off your notifications. Let's continue.
They were removed during the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma, which was then the Indian Territory.
So once they got to Oklahoma, where they told them that they would be free and have land, they realized that it wasn't true, it was a lie, and they can come and take them anytime they wanted to, the masters. So they decided, you know, they had to leave.
So it was a very harsh, terrible journey that our people had to go through to get to freedom. They didn't allow them freedom there in Oklahoma, and John, Horse, and Wildcat, they heard, you know, that there's a place in Mexico that they could go to that they could be free.
Mexico needed to hire people to defend the border from the possibility of more U.S. invasion. So what happened with the Black Seminoles is that they managed to negotiate a deal with the Mexican state in exchange for land and citizenship.
Karina and Dina grew up knowing little about their heritage, but are now dedicated to preserving their stories.
We knew that my grandfather on my mom and my dad's side, they were both Black Seminoles, so we didn't know anything else. That's what we're working with, my cousins and I, on, you know, teaching the history and preserving, you know, the traditions.
Thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Allah will be thy name.
One of our cousins, Bertha Benson, had did a YouTube video for Siska, and it was talking about how the Seminole language was a lost language.
If you want to get specific, you know, science and the scriptures say that you are what your father is. Scriptures in Numbers 1:18, called together the whole community on the first day of the second month and registered all the people by clans and families. The names of the men are 20 years old. Hold on a second. Oh, hold on. 18? Is it 18? Yep. It says here, and they assembled all the congregations together in the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. That's your pedigree. That's scientific. That's biblical. So unless you're an indigenous native, right, like your father, then you are. But if your father's bloodline is of African, you can carry the title all you want. The fact is you will always be an African. So that's when it matters when DNA. Now, if you guys want to say DNA don't matter, well, then go, when you have a case, don't catch one. Because you're going to need DNA to prove that you were innocent. If you get someone pregnant and you're trying to say it's not you, you're going to need DNA. That's when it matters. It's one thing of us trying to say this never happened, you guys are lying. No, but it's good to understand that this history is down there, and a lot of us that are from down there, we understand this. You guys don't. You apparently don't. Lucia Vasquez Valdez is the descendant of an African American who fled the prospect of slavery in the United States. But, you know, what do you do with this? All of a sudden now, we're the Mongols? You're saying he's a Mongol then? Like, it's just a fucking, I don't even know if it's stupidity. You know, because we can easily read this stuff, and then we see later on in years that there was a mixture of people going around, like obviously going on. But when you find out that the Exodus, or the very few that were left, mixed with these people, now you have to come to the conclusion: are you really indigenous, or just simply African Americans claiming to be Seminoles? Because the original people here were not Africans. And we are clearly finding this out. There's no denying this. But hey, you know, I guess maybe Culo Miados' channel is a lot more funner, because, you know, he likes to tickle your emotions and shit. As long as you give him money, that's all that matters to him. You know what I'm saying? All right, fam. Again, I wasn't going to take too long tonight, okay? So that's all I got for now. I will try to continue tomorrow. man, I really want to take care of that class, this one, because it's actually going to connect with this year, to be honest, because Colon brought a lot of these dudes with him. You know, these guys weren't the only ones. Colon brought some of these guys with him. You know what I'm saying? And this right here, I'm going to prove that he was a self-proclaimed Jew. So yes, it's true. It's very, very true. And we can't deny it no more. The self-proclaimed Jews finance the slave trade. Okay? They're the reason why, gente, you need to wake the fuck up, because they're also the ones wanting to deport your ass out of here. And it's not like it's not helping with these people over here saying the same thing. You know? Check this out. I'm going to show this. I think this is the video. Is this it? Hold on. I don't think this is it. Oh, no. This is not it. Hold on. Let me see. I have a video. I'm going to show it to you tomorrow. But I guess I can kind of share it a little bit today. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it would be bad. It's just very interesting. Hold on. I wrote down the notes. Are people... No. Hold on. Right there. Children. That's not it. Hold on. First, Secreto Napoleon. Psychopath. Yeah, there was fucking Negro conquistador psychopaths, man. Fucking liars. All right, I believe this is it. Hold on, is this it? Hold on. It's coming up. Is this? Come on, bro. No manches, way. 10 pillars of fascism, corporate, very merges a lie. Oh, man. I guess I'm gonna have to find it, family, because I have the video. I was gonna connect it with the other class, but figured I could just share a little bit with you today. Hold on, let me see. Maybe I have it on my notes. Give me. Okay, hold on. No, that's not it. Give me a moment. Because I'm pretty much done right now. Wait, hold on. Where are you? Oh, here it goes. Okay, hold on. Okay, trade. No. Damn it. Where is it? Must be the bung. Russell Means attempting to raise our heritage. Bible Testament. Fernando Zarco. Sales of Hope. Participation. That sucks, man. I might have to look for. I may even not have it anymore. Sometimes that shit happens. I don't know why it disappears on me. But anyhow, yeah, the street. No, African, no, Liberia, no, Chito, no, nah. Damn it! All right. Well, listen. If I find it, I'll play it before I go. But stay tuned for the next class, family. Okay. I really hope that you guys don't miss the next one. That's a good one. They were the first astronauts, the first natives, the first Filipino, the first Mexicans, the first lowrider man, the first colonizers. Yeah, the first colonizers. That basically solidifies it all. The first of everything. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, all right. I know you guys have to, got stuff to do. Totally get it. Have a good night. Hopefully, you guys can appreciate tonight's edification. Maybe I can do a class tomorrow. Let's see what else. All right, give me a second here. Okay, here it goes. All right, fam. You guys have a good night. All right, cuídense. I'm gonna play one song. All right, that's it. I'm out.
En la Plaza de Reyes, la Chumenta, Soplón. Yeah. ¿Qué vas a saber? ¿Qué vas a saber tú? Oye, chibolito, faltomé. Pulpín de los pulpines, batería de Rapunzel, de rapeos, de raptos, de lagartos en cuartel. Cualquier la pega de cruel con un viejo coronel. Soy flujo, se me antojó dormirme en el laurel. Elevé mi level con un label y un Faber Castell. a un papel. Lo empape con sangre de todo aquel que se jura Nobel y no ve mis trenes en la riel. What's so man? ¿Por qué no sacan la tablet? Juro por mis aguas que no te hablo por las powers. Soy chinchado neto, búscame por pico sour y te voy a meter al centro loco como Beckenbauer. Escúchame atento mi bro, que estamos rompiéndole en pro. El negro de Plaza de Reyes como siempre rompe de este micrófono. Que quiere meterle como yo pero no puede meterle taco pro. Si te pensaba que solo era un gallo, déjame decirle que se equivocó. Real motherfucker feeling on the street. Es el Black Sheep, Black Sea Metal de Plaza de Kings. Motherfucker, so boom.
Nero Luigi, man, desempeño a la victoria para que sepa. Incas Mo, it's money gang, gang, yeah, yeah, Yo también he llorado, gente. También me han desplazado por mi rasgo afrodescendiente. Sí, un perro no habla pero siente. Cuento historias callejeras pa' barrios de delincuentes. Soy un perro que te ladra, que te muerde y que te huele, nene. Soy más que Lele, ustedes para mí son pelele. Con mi jauría todo el día en busca de los cheles. Tengo un perro en fiscalía que nos mueve los papeles y otro en la comisaría para evitar el susto. Muchas veces me han llevado por solo como luzco. Perdón, madre mía, si yo le causé un disgusto, pero en esta vía yo crecí rodeado de perros chuscos. Yo sé que me quieren ganar, yo sé que me quieren tumbar y no pasará porque soy de verdad. Está súper rafina la Dodo Style, metido en latina aprendiendo un style. Yo tengo el style, no mido la raza del perro, yo mido por la lealtad y yo soy leal. La calle te enseña lo que no te enseña la universidad. Saliste ese peña aquí con una seña te tiran para atrás. La calle limeña aquí nadie la dueña, ya nada es igual. Tiene que respetar, tiene que respetar. La calle te enseña lo que no te enseña la universidad. Saliste ese peña aquí con una seña te tiran para atrás. La calle limeña aquí nada le dueña, ya nada es igual. Tiene que respetar, si yo soy tu papá. It's Incas Mob, negro. It's Incas Mob, nigga. Nero Luigi, man. Incas Mob, It's money gang, gang, gang,
Hey, yo. Yango en la maldita casa. Me llaman pa' que les dé al menos una vez al mes. Se metieron al lago y olvidaron que era el mes. For everybody bless. La fama es una puta, me está llamando a las 3. Dile que llame después de las 16 y 25. Volví de la infancia de Abraham Lincoln. Con fuerza ya inco, luchando para salir del rincón. Letra callejera en CD brinco. Under del under, puede que tu viejo te lo mande. Sale de vez en cuando como el cóndor por los Andes. Mi cuerpo no es de madera como Dandy. Antes que me branden, yo seré la ola que los expande. Aunque esto me brille en la madera, no sirven ni para romper el ticket de un evento afuera. Loco por la carrera, desafían la gravedad. Yo espero tras la barrera y llego con la novedad. Niña, tú solo espera que ya encontré la manera. He visto bastante por querer lograrlo saltando escalones dentro de la escalera. La vida me puso al depósito, yo soy de púlpito para que el mundo conociéramos. De esta parte mejor interprete que de esta cordillera, sin luz afuera. Que el espectáculo es dentro, la calle es mi templo, tiembla el pavimento, cuando yo me concentro, mis disparos son temas, la calle un poema, se siente desde cuando entro, y a toditos estos drogaditos que creen que rapean, los regreso al centro de mi balcón. Yo he visto el clon de clon en la misma gestión, pero a la malla no llega el balón, y para esta pantalla no existe patrón, yo ya me sé la cuestión, y doy fe por cada renglón, consciente de la operación del final de Mbappé con la edad de bufón. De Yango en la maldita casa, Plaza de Rey y papá, el Nero Luigi, Black Cemental, hip hop peruano. Rasgo en la maldita base.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.